Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's training. We're doing a live training call tonight titled The Science of Spinal Hygiene. And we are live on the Spinal Hygiene Facebook page as well. And I apologize if it's a little bit dark if you're watching from the Facebook page. I do have a new stand and lens for my phone that we will be getting hooked up soon that will make this image a lot better. But if you're here, I do appreciate it. And we're going to get started in just a second. It's right at 8 o'clock right now, so we're just getting on. Boy, it sure is really dark. I'm looking at it from the, let's see here. That's better, huh? All right. So I guess I'll just be holding the camera for the live video on Facebook, and then I will use my other arm for the live video that we have on our YouTube live on our webinar. There, it's nice and bright and through that camera. All right, good. So if you'll notice behind me, this really cool banner that we just got for our shows that we do, if you'll probably notice, we are, let me turn my video camera off on my Facebook page here. All right. We go to some seminars and we have booths, and so this banner will be in the back now from all the booths that we go to. All right, awesome. All right, guys, so thanks for being on. You'll notice if you're watching in from our webinar page that there is a live chat roll below the video. Feel free to post comments. You'll also notice that if you're watching from our webinar page, there are a couple of resources below. And if you're watching from Facebook Live, then I will make sure I go back in and put those resources there for you later. But basically below there's my spinal hygiene report. I'm going to be covering some science, some journals, some studies on this training tonight. And in that spinal hygiene report is a lot of those resources, okay? And so download that, check that out. I think you'll really like that. Also, that article that is in that spinal hygiene is basically the spinal hygiene report, was published in Chiropractic Economics August 20th. And so it's been, edited and scrutinized by some different magazine editors, and it's legit stuff. So I highly recommend you look at that, take a look at it. Below that resource link, below the spinal hygiene report, you'll notice a link that says spinal hygiene products. That link will take you to our website, which is spinalhygieneproducts.com. Basically, if you're watching from Facebook Live, you'll have to just go open a new browser and check out spinalhygieneproducts.com. All right, so those are the two resources for tonight. But as we go, I'm going to take you through and walk you through some even bigger things, some of the products and the science behind the spinal hygiene products. But first, let's talk about why we need spinal hygiene. We need it now in our society more than ever before. And the reason is because this devastating trend of spinal degeneration, that if you're a chiropractor, if you're a practitioner who has taken x-rays, and if you've, like for me, I've only been practicing for 10 years, but 10 years ago I took x-rays. I didn't see the amount of spinal degeneration that we do today. If you talk to practitioners that have been practicing 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, they're going to tell you they didn't see the amount of spinal degeneration back then that they see today. And there's a lot of other journals and studies that back this up that show that we're starting to see spinal degeneration at younger and younger ages. Look, the Journal of Neuroradiology actually did it was a poll slash study, and one of the articles published in there showed that different age groups and the percentage of spinal degeneration that these age groups have in today's society. So they showed that 96% of Americans, or 96% of people they polled, have significant spinal degeneration by the age of 80. So if you're 80 years old, 96% of people at that age have significant spinal degeneration. And maybe you're sitting here, you're watching, you're listening to me, and you're like, yeah, I mean, they're 80 years old, right? And trust me, look, there is some degeneration that happens with age, but it's not debilitating. It's not crazy. Shouldn't be warped bones just when you're 80 years old, or everybody would have this crazy degeneration. It's like your teeth. Yes, there's a minor amount of degeneration that happens as you age. That's how, forensic, experts can tell if you're 50 or if you're 30 or if you're 12 by looking at the teeth. They can tell, they know that because there's a certain amount of normal wear and tear and breakdown, but not severity, right? If somebody had severe tooth decay and teeth falling out of their mouth and they have cavities on every tooth, you wouldn't just all of a sudden assume that was normal degeneration of their teeth, would you? No, absolutely not. You might look and see, well, that person maybe never took care of their teeth. Maybe they never brushed their teeth. Maybe they had really high levels of sugar in their diet and they just ate their enamel away, right? There would be a reason why there's that much spinal degeneration. We're saying that exact same thing with aging of the spine. And now 96% of 80-year-olds have severe, or at least what they call significant spinal degeneration. But watch this, the next step down. 80% of 50-year-olds showed significant spinal degeneration. Okay, so 50 is not really old age at all. I'd say it's middle age, maybe getting a little bit higher up there. But 80% of 50-year-olds had spinal degeneration. And okay, let's say that you and me say 50 plus, okay, we get it. There's spinal degeneration when you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. But watch this. And the same studies concluded 37% of 20-year-olds have significant spinal degeneration already. That's almost 40% of 20-year-olds in today's day and age have spinal degeneration. I think a lot of you listening, I know you're chiropractors or any other type of physician that does x-rays or looks at x-rays a lot. You're gonna know that when somebody comes in, they're in bad shape, and you take an x-ray and they're in their 20s, now we're starting to see that the spine's deteriorating at younger and younger ages. And watch this. A study out of Scotland, researchers out of Scotland did an MRI study on 10-year-olds. So they took this big, large group of 10-year-olds and they started doing MRIs on their spine. They showed that 9% of them have the beginning of spinal degeneration present already at the age of 10. Now, why? Why all of this thing? So we know now, and a lot of these researchers, their theory is that we're more sedentary than we've ever been as humans, right? We're having to sit for longer periods of time. Kids getting less and less recess. They're sitting in front of video games more often, cell phones, computers, postural stresses that are causing this breakdown in the spine, and we're not doing anything to battle or compete against these postural stresses. So we're starting to get worse and worse and worse. And there's a study done. Let me pull this up real quick. It's see, it's in the Journal of Physiological and Health Implications of a Sedentary Lifestyle, and the Journal of Applied uh, Physiology and Nutrition Metabolism. I guess that's what it is. Anyway, they correlated, and out of thousands um, of people in their population in their study, they correlated sedentary lifestyle with increased um, degeneration, right? So faster rate, an increased rate of spinal degeneration is correlated with sedentary lifestyle. What do we have in today's day and age? More people overweight, more obesity than ever before, more sitting ever before. Kids sit through school for 12 years, then they graduate, go to college and sit some more, and then they graduate and have a degree, and they have to get a job behind a desk, behind a computer, and sit for longer periods of time. So this sitting, this sedentary lifestyle, this postural stresses, this not taking care of our spine at all, it's starting to break down our society. It's starting to wear and tear. We're seeing that used to spinal surgeries weren't done until you were in your 40s and 50s or even 60s. Right now, like the studies show, 20-year-olds and below are having spinal surgeries already. You know what that means? 40% of back surgeries fail, so they're having the second surgery and the third surgery and the fourth surgery before they get to be 30, 40 years old. And did you know the average cost of a spinal surgery is $100,000? So no wonder the number one cause of bankruptcy is our healthcare system and our medical bills that we have when you're having to have these expensive surgeries at younger and younger ages, because there's no prevention, there's no hygiene, there's no upkeep for our spine. There is for our teeth, and I'll get into that more in just a second and a little bit of the story behind where dentistry came from, because dentistry didn't always have this great track record with teeth. Like in today's day and age, you and I will probably we'll probably keep our normal teeth, right? We'll probably live our entire life with these puppies right here. These are my teeth I was born with, or at least my adult teeth after my baby teeth fell out, right? So they're my normal teeth, my natural teeth, and I don't probably ever have to have dentures. Now, something could happen. I might. Nobody's guaranteed. Even if you brush your teeth and you go to the dentist all the time, you're not guaranteed not to have a cavity or whatever. But your chances of having a better, healthier smile and good teeth by an older age is better today than it's ever been. Because see, back in the early 1900s, people's teeth rotted. There were cavities like crazy. If you were a dentist, the one thing that you did was pull teeth, right? Like you were so busy in the early 1900s pulling teeth, dentists didn't do much of anything else. In your 20s, you would go have your teeth pulled. And then that's why dentures, by the way, there was an influx of processed foods and sugars into our diets about in the early 1900s. So, of course, now sugars, processed foods, we're having more and more cavities and more problems. And then, you know, we're seeing dentures coming in. And a lot of people can even remember back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, dentures were super common. Fix a dent and forget it. You remember those commercials, right? Because almost by that age, everybody had dentures. So see, in the late 1800s, let's say 1896, I think 1890 maybe, a dentist and medical doctor, this guy was both of them. His name was Willoughby D. Miller. He discovered the cause of tooth decay. He discovered that bacteria build up in the teeth, and bacteria eat the food that we have build like sitting in our teeth, and then a byproduct of the digestion of that food is an acid. So that byproduct acid will eat the enamel away and will cause cavities. Okay, so this was a big discovery. We didn't know this. We didn't know the cause of cavities, why everybody's teeth was falling out. But did it change anything just because we discovered the cause? No, not really. People just continue to go to the dentist, get your teeth pulled. Go to the dentist, get your teeth pulled. Well, a dentist back in the early 1900s by the name of Dr. Alfred Phones, who we now know as the father of dental hygiene, he was fed up with this pulling teeth in his office all day long, right? And he was like, we have got to find a way to prevent tooth decay. So he went on a mission to teach people dental hygiene. And you know what? It wasn't accepted at first. In fact, he was blackballed. He was blacklisted. And people, all the dentists in the time were like, look, we're making good money. We're pulling teeth. We're making great money here. We're busy. Why you want to mess up a good thing? A lot of other dentists, they said that they didn't really believe that this would prevent tooth decay, even if people did take the time to do it. Some people thought that people wouldn't invest the time or the energy or the money in keep taking care of their teeth. And then other dentists, like we said, were just like, don't mess up a good thing. We're making money. Quit it. You're going to ruin it for us. In fact, let's see, it was the College of Ohio Dental Surgery. What is it? Let me find it. Shoot, I guess I don't have it in here. I think it was the Dental College of Ohio, the Dental Surgery College of Ohio, or something like that. They were the first college to implement dental hygiene regimens, and they were shut down by the dentists in their town because of this very reason. They thought it was going to mess up their business. If people start taking care of their teeth, then they're not going to come in and get their teeth pulled anymore. Okay, I say that is because a lot of people think this was spinal hygiene. They think, oh, well, these are exercises that people just aren't going to do every day, right? Or they think, well, I don't, that's dumb. It's not even going to prevent spinal degeneration. Or they think, some chiropractors think, well, I'm not going to teach them to take care of their spine because then they won't come to me when they're in crazy pain. Well, look what happened with dentistry. They finally did teach people to take care of their teeth and brush and floss and go to the dentist regularly, and it exploded the dental profession. And now dentistry is the second largest preventative healthcare profession in the world. Why? Because of that very foundation that they stand on, that if you take care of something, it will last longer. If you take care of your teeth, they will last longer. If you keep them healthy, they will last longer. And that's all we're saying when it comes to spinal hygiene, is that if we take care of our spine, it will last longer. And this has nothing to do with chiropractic, really. It has nothing to do with any other healthcare profession. It has to do with the core principles of spinal hygiene and health. And so, spinal hygiene is, well, let me back up. Now let me go ahead. All right. So the three core principles of spinal hygiene are this: the spine should be in a certain alignment. The spine should move through a full range of motion, and then the muscles around the spine should be strong and fit. That's all we're saying. That's what a healthy spine is the spine should be in a good alignment. It should move through a full range of motion in each direction. Muscles around it should be strong and fit. Okay? So that's important because we know the cause of spinal degeneration today, and it's not just old age. I don't care what they've told you. Now, certainly damage, injury, repetitive stresses can cause um, spinal decay, and we can't prevent all of those. You were in a car accident. You can't go back in time and prevent that. Those injuries can definitely be weak areas where spinal degeneration can set in. Maybe there's hereditary factors. I'm, sure, if your family is like has a lot of spinal degeneration, potentially maybe you have some genes that are more prone for development of spinal degeneration. But we know because of epigenetics that you're not guaranteed to have everything that's hereditary, right? It's the environment that you're in that promotes those genes. Okay, it's just like the cancer gene, the heart disease gene. My mom passed away of a heart attack at the age of 47, and she was a diabetic. She was in a wheelchair. I mean, there were a lot of different factors that are not going to affect me because I put myself in a better environment, take care of myself, I exercise, I eat right, get adjusted, I do those things that put my body in an environment that um, that doesn't allow those hereditary factors to present themselves. Okay, so watch this. We do know though that spinal degeneration. My little guys are banging on the door here. Sorry. Don't worry, I got it locked. They can't come in. And Mama's taking care of them out there, so they're good. Um, he's yelling, "Hey, Dad! Uh, hey, buddy! I'll be out in just a second." Okay, so where were we? Okay, so here we know the factors that really contribute to spinal degeneration and factors that we can actually prevent, or at least lower risk factors for. Now, we talk a lot about the first core concept of spinal hygiene, which is spinal alignment. We know that abnormal alignment can lead to abnormal biomechanics, right? We know that there should be a certain alignment in the spine. You can look in any anatomy book in the world, it will show the spine straight from the front and having natural curves from the side. We know that's a normal alignment, that there might be a range, but we know that scoliosis is not normal, right? Now, stress points build up in the spine when we have abnormal biomechanics, and that causes the development of calcification or bone spurs. We know that by a law called Wolff's Law. Wolff's Law was developed by a German anatomist and surgeon, Julius Wolff. He lived from 1836 to 1902. And in the 19th century, it states that bone in a healthy person or animal will adapt to the loads under which it is placed. So if we have abnormal misalignments, abnormal loading pressures in the bone, calcifications will set in, and that can literally cause bone spurs. And bone spurs are a form of spinal degeneration. So we know by keeping a better alignment, by keeping the balance in the spine, we have a better chance of lowering our risk factor for that type of spinal degeneration. We also know that we know that lack of motion causes the joint to break down and can actually cause an increased rate of spinal degeneration. We know this. It was dang. Let me see if I have the study here. I don't have the study with me. I will. It's in that resource guide though that I'm posting below here. I think it's in there. Anyway, study showed that when a joint is immobilized for 10 to 15 days, it begins the process of degeneration, meaning they found adhesions that build up in the joint if a joint is immobilized for 10 to 15 days. That's it. Like that's why they don't put your legs or your arms in casts for like 9 months anymore, like they used to, because they would put your leg or your arm in a cast when you break it. Back in when my parents were kids, if you broke your leg, you got this full leg length cast on for like 9 months. Well, then all the joints that weren't moving would break down and they'd start developing spinal degeneration, and you have problems in those joints later in life. So now, as soon as you have knee surgery or something, they have it moving right afterwards, because they know a complete immobilization in a joint causes the increased rate of spinal degeneration. So if we can keep a good range of motion in our spine and keep these joints moving properly and in a good alignment, we have a big chance of lowering our risk factors for developing degeneration. I just want to show you that we definitely can influence this. I'm not saying that it's magic, that every little exercise or chiropractic adjustment that you get is going to totally exempt you from spinal degeneration, but I'm saying we have degeneration at such epidemic levels, very similar to tooth decay back in the early 1900s, and that now is the time to do something about it, because we've got to stop this silent epidemic, this epidemic that just it's in everybody's spine until and it's silent until it starts to cause pain, and then it's too late because you already have a certain phase or development of spinal degeneration there. All right. So what do we do to prevent spinal degeneration? Well, we practice spinal hygiene. What do we do to prevent tooth decay? We practice dental hygiene. So let's look into some of the core exercises and products that we might use that are used to prevent spinal degeneration, or we call them spinal hygiene products. Okay, just like toothbrush or floss are dental hygiene products. Now, let's go back to the core concepts of spinal hygiene. The spine should be in a certain alignment. So what are we doing on a daily basis to improve or maintain the alignment of our spine? Now, I know for myself and my family, we go visit a chiropractor regularly and we get adjusted. I get adjusted a couple times a week sometimes, but at least once a week to get checked and adjusted. And that keeps my spine in a better alignment. But what am I doing daily? Like, even if I went to the dentist and got my teeth cleaned, you still have to do something daily to be able to maintain that. So what we use is called a spinal molding roll. And this spinal molding roll helps to maintain lateral curves of the spine between my chiropractic adjustments. So you can see on the two spinal molding rolls, one goes in the low back, one goes under the neck. And these spinal molding rolls, we lay on them at night up for 5 to 20 minutes, depending on what your chiropractor gives you or says. We actually start low and build up to 20 minutes. And this helps me maintain my lateral curves between chiropractic visits, right? So we're taking care of the spinal hygiene portion of, the spinal alignment portion of spinal hygiene. These spinal molding rolls are on the website, the link below, or at spinalhygieneproducts.com. These are awesome. What about range of motion? We know that the first core concept of spinal hygiene was spinal alignment. The second core concept of spinal hygiene is range of motion. So what are we doing on a daily basis to maintain spinal range of motion? Well, when we look at the spine, we see that the spine moves in 3 planes of motion. It moves forward and back. That's one plane. Side to side. That's 2 planes. And rotation. That's the 3rd plane. Okay. So what we want patients to do on a daily basis is take your spine to the end range of each plane and hold it for 10 seconds. So you bend forward, hold it for 10 seconds. Bend backwards, hold it for 10 seconds. Lean to one side laterally, hold for 10 seconds. Lean to the opposite side, hold for 10 seconds. Rotation, hold for 10 seconds. Rotation in the other direction, hold for 10 seconds. So really it takes a minute. How long does it take you to brush your teeth in the morning, right? A minute, 2 minutes? Not very long. It doesn't take you very long to do your spinal hygiene exercises either. So take it to the full range of motion, the end of that range, hold it for 10 seconds in each plane, forward, back, side, side, rotation. Let me read you this from a physical therapy website here based on range of motion. Here it is. When patients neglect to perform range of motion exercises, and this is a physical therapy website, right? Not chiropractic even, but when patients neglect to perform range of motion exercises, it opens the door to further injury by limiting the mobility of a joint Explaining to a patient the necessity of range of motion exercises creates motivation. Range of motion testing is an important aspect of physical therapy for a patient. The primary reason being that it dictates in large part the pacing and extent of the treatment. Range of motion is generally or in order to mark the progression of a patient's rehabilitation, there has to be some kind of marker. Range of motion is generally that marker. All right. So range of motion is important across all healthcare professions, whether you're MD, PT, a DC, it doesn't matter. Range of motion is important. You have to maintain proper range of motion. Look, I had a patient that came in earlier today. My arm's getting tired of holding this Facebook Live video. I'll be glad when I find um, my tripod for it. So I had a patient that came in today, and she only comes in like once every 4 to 6 months, and you know gets her adjustment, but it's like she's in horrible pain every time. She waits until she's in pain, and she comes in and gets an adjustment. And she told me, is my hips just gonna hurt like this all the time? Is it never gonna heal? And I said, you've got to start doing something more regularly to take care of your spine. And of course I got this look that was like, oh, you're just trying to sell me care, right? You're just trying to sell me this wellness program, da 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 da. So I backed off. I said, look, I don't care if you're in my office. I don't care if you're in the gym down the road. I don't care if you're at another chiropractic office. There's three things that you have to do to have a healthy spine. You have to keep it in a good alignment, or at least as good as possible for you. You have to keep it moving. So you have to keep the range of motion in your spine. And number three, you have to strengthen the muscles around your spine. That's it. If you don't do those three things, you will have back pain, you will have breakdown, you have spinal degeneration. If you do those three things, whether it's have help here in my office with the adjustments and the rehab that I'm recommending, or you go to a gym and or you lay on your rolls, or you try to get some range of motion, or you try to get some strength around your spine. It doesn't matter where you go or who sells you what. Those are the bottom line facts of a healthy spine. You have to have proper alignment. You have to have proper range of motion. You have to have adequate strength or fitness of the muscles around the spine, or it will break down. Bottom line. In my office or in some other office or in your own home, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to help you take care of your spine. So that person that won't do anything and just lays there because they don't want to move because they think it might make their back hurt, then they're never going to get better. And I told her that. And I said, look, if you were in a car accident or something and you had acute pain in your back right now, I wouldn't be telling you this. I'd be telling you, take it easy, let it rest, let the injury heal. It's not like that. You've had pain for years. It's chronic. It's degenerative. You need to exercise it. You need to move it. You need to make sure you're taking care of it. Anyway, they got me off on a tangent, but that's the range of motion. So we talked about the spinal molding exercise, the range of motion exercise. Okay. Now let's look at the most degenerative discs in the human spine. Okay, so we're trying to prevent spinal degeneration, right? So let's ask ourselves, where in the spine is the most degenerative areas found? Now, again, if you're any practitioner who sees patients very often, then you know that those two areas are C5 and L5. That's it. You know that C5 and L5 are the two most degenerative discs in the entire spine in the human body. Okay. Now, why is this? Well, two factors that we already talked about a little bit. Number one is sedentary lifestyle. So the low back is getting, it's not getting adequate movement. There's a pumping effect called imbibition. Your discs in your body after the age of puberty need imbibition in order for nutrients to come in, waste material to come out. So after puberty, your hormones change, because before puberty, you go through these growth spurts. You got huge amounts of growth hormone that promotes blood flow. So you got a lot of blood flow to those discs. But after the hormones shut down, then blood flow shuts down to those discs, and it becomes even more important for motion in those discs, imbibition, right? So in a sedentary lifestyle, nobody's getting pumping or movement or imbibition, and L5 just shrinks. It just degenerates. It dehydrates. C5, one of the reasons why we know it breaks down is what's the most common degenerative posture in the world. You can look at somebody and you say, wow, that person has head forward posture. It's the most common degenerative posture in the entire world, and it affects C5 directly because of the weight of the head putting pressure in the middle of the portion of the curve of the neck. So we know that C5, L5 are the two most commonly degenerative discs caused by sedentary lifestyle and head forward posture. So why don't we develop something on a daily basis for patients to do to help fight that or prevent that? Look, that's what dentistry did when they noticed that bacteria, that brushing wasn't just enough, that bacteria would actually get inside the crevices of the tooth and keep breaking down and causing cavities. So what do they come out with? Floss, right? We floss in between there. It's more advanced. It's more, but if you do it, and not everybody does it, but if you do it, it helps prevent tooth decay. Sorry, my little guys, they're banging on the door. They really want to get in. They're 3-year-old twins. I got Jason, Jaden. So, guys, I'll be out in just a little bit. um, all right. So where was I? Okay, so what do we use? Well, these come in our spinal hygiene kits. These are TheraBands, right? And by the way, spinal hygiene kit. Let me show you what the spinal hygiene kit looks like. Here it is. If you can see this is our spinal hygiene kits. If you go to spinalhygieneproducts.com, you can see them. You can see more of them. But inside each kit, you get all the exercises. This is the exercise sheet. And in here comes with the home spinal care book and the TheraBand exercise. And if you can see, I'm going to hold it up to the camera here. That person is doing resistance band exercises for head forward posture, right? So if we can battle head forward posture by strengthening the muscles in the back of the neck, posterior muscles, holding that neck back, stretching that. Now, I'm not saying in your office you should adjust for this. You should, do traction for this. If that person, if you need to prescribe that person some other exercises, that's great. But you don't give a prescription of floss. Dentists don't prescribe floss. It's good for everybody, right? You should probably floss unless you have some kind of crazy gum disease, and then the dentist will tell you don't floss, right? But this is good for people because it actually is preventing head forward posture by strengthening posterior muscles. And I know very many people at all that don't need muscles in the back of their neck strengthened, right? So we do the resistance band exercise to battle head forward posture to help battle the C5 degeneration. I mean, we're focusing on what's most efficient, and this is important because just about any exercise a patient does is good for their spine, right? They could go for a jog. It's good for their spine, probably. They could ride a bike. I'm sure that's, I don't know, maybe it's good for their spine. Or they could go lift weights, or they could do back exercises, and that's great. But we've got to give people something they can do that's simple, and they can do it on a daily basis, and they can do it quickly and easily. Because if brushing your teeth took an hour a day, nobody would do it. Okay. And if I'm trying to prescribe yoga to every patient that I have, they're just not going to do it. It takes too long. It's not efficient. And so what we want to do is the simplest, most efficient, and the quickest exercise that somebody could just start doing on a daily basis to help take care of their spine, or at least prevent the breakdown between chiropractic visits, right? Okay, so resistance band, important. What's the fourth and final exercise that we do? We call it the wobble disc exercise. And so we have this wobble disc. And by the way, I know you guys have probably seen wobble discs before. Okay. A lot of times they're in gyms and things, and a lot of chiropractors have used them for a while. But these wobble discs we use are very mobile, and they're not. Most wobble discs inside the gyms are made for standing on. People stand on them and do exercises and things to help balance, improve balance and things. These wobble discs are made out of the exercise ball material, so they're more wobbly and they're made for sitting on, just like an exercise ball is made for sitting on. And we want to increase imbibition of L5. So we want to literally create pumping and movement of L5. Because why does L5 degenerate? Because of sedentary lifestyles, lack of motion in that area, lack of imbibition, nutrition's not getting in and out of there. At least that's one reason. That's a common reason. And so doing these wobble disc exercises, we have them do the range of motion or the planes of motion of the spine, and we have them wobble on while sitting on that exercise disc. So forward and back, getting some motion in that disc, forward and back 10 times. We have them wobble side to side. really moving that lower back, that disc, getting that disc pumping, and then rotation, kind of like a hula hoop. You have them go around in one circle to the right, and then have them go around in a circle to the left, and you're literally pumping and getting imbibition and movement in that disc, and you're pumping nutrients in and waste materials out, and you're helping to prevent the degeneration of L5, right? So those are the 4 spinal hygiene exercises that we recommend for everybody in the world. Now, I do recommend a chiropractor for everybody in the world, and that chiropractor may make his or her own specific recommendations, whether you do this or you don't do that, based on their technique, based on their beliefs, based on their experience. But a toothbrush is a toothbrush, right? It keeps the teeth clean. It keeps them healthy. The spine should be in a certain alignment. The spine should have a full range of motion. The muscles around the spine should be strong and healthy. That's what we're saying. I don't care if it's chiropractic. I don't care if it's physical therapy. I don't care if it's in the medical doctors or the medical system. Those are the facts. And if somebody doesn't know that, and if somebody doesn't know what to do to keep their spine in a good alignment, to keep it having a full range of motion, and keep muscles around it fit, if they don't know, then they're not going to do it. Then their spine's going to degenerate. And that's why we're in the predicament we are today, with huge epidemic levels of spinal degeneration in our society, and people's spines breaking down inside their body without them even knowing, until it gets to the point where they can't stand it anymore and they're in horrible pain. And back pain is the #1 cause of disability in the United States right now. And then it moves into spinal surgeries, spinal failures, back second, third surgery. So guys, I want to thank you for being on, first of all, in this training. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I know that you're someone who cares either about your own spinal health, or about the spinal health of your patients. And I want to ask you to help me to share this message with as many people as we can. Hit the hearts, the likes, the shares. Um, and let's get this message to the world. Let's make spinal hygiene a household term, just like dental hygiene is. Let's get people taking care of their spine. Let's get kids doing exercises to take care of their spine, so that we can prevent the most devastating spinal disease, degenerative disc disease, and spinal degeneration, or at least lower the levels and lower the risk factors for the people that we care about. All right. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this webinar. If you want to find out more about the products, go to spinalhygieneproducts.com. Check it out. The links below, I'll make sure I post them on the Facebook Live as well. The resource guide, check that out, the spinal hygiene report, and the website. So if you have any questions or comments, let me know. I don't think I see any on the webinar page so far. I need to refresh it though, I guess. All right, we're good. We're good. All right, everybody. Hope you had an awesome Wednesday, and Christmas is coming up, so I want to wish you an early Merry Christmas and a great holiday, or Happy Hanukkah, or whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week next week. All right, guys. Again, thanks for being on the call. I'm going to try to be doing these every Wednesday night, and we'll train on all kinds of awesome stuff. But the main thing is we're sharing this message of lifetime spinal wellness. Lifetime spinal wellness, teaching people to take care of their spine, because it will make a huge difference in their life and in their overall health. And we want to take a dent out of these spinal degeneration numbers, these epidemic numbers. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for being on the call, and we'll talk to you later.